Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody, and welcome to Pangolin, the Conservation Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Baker, and welcome to the show dedicated to exploring the world's underappreciated, underacknowledged, inspiring, amazing, incredible, fantastic, festive conservation stories, the stories that inspire me, and I hope will inspire you too. Merry, 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 merry Christmas, one and all. Welcome to the Pangolin Christmas Special. Today we are joined by my fantastic, wonderful, one of my oldest friends, Jodi McFarlane. She is here to celebrate all things Christmas with me. We're going to talk about Christmas and how we can make it conservation focused and how we can be more sustainable at Christmas. We're going to talk about some of our favourite Christmas conservation traditions and some of our favourite Christmas conservation news. We might talk about a baby polar bear. Um, we're also going to talk about all of our times working together through our times at an aquarium and at a zoo. And it's just a really nice nostalgic time because I think for me, Christmas is about spending time and with the people you love and that are special to you, and also reflecting on what has come before and being appreciative and grateful and just are loving that those elements while also looking forward to the future and what is bright and merry and fantastic about that. And so we talk about all these topics, and it's just a really nice, fun, festive interview. And I really, really hope you all enjoy. I'm so grateful for all of you. That's what I'm grateful for this festive season. I'm so grateful for all of you listening to the show, for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and listen. I'm so grateful for yes, I'm just so grateful for everything. I'm so grateful for Jodi. I'm so grateful for the show. I'm so grateful for my friends, my family who've supported this. Just thank you so, so much. I hope you're all having a wonderful festive season, even if you're not celebrating Christmas. Yes, I should probably stop now because I'm just going to ramble about how great Christmas is for a while. But yes, thank you all so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's interview. Merry Christmas. Please welcome, like I'm introducing her, please welcome to the stage the fantastic, the wonderful, the show stopping Miss Jodi McFarlane. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy. And welcome back to the show. I am now joined by one of my oldest and best friends, Jodi McFarlane. She is here to tell us about her experience working at Deep Sea World, at the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland, and because it's Christmas, she is here to celebrate all things festive with me. Because at the end of the day, Christmas is about spending time with your friends, with your family, reflecting on happy memories, and looking forward to new memories being made in the future. And so that is why she's here today to celebrate all of those good festive things and all that has come before. So, welcome to the show, Jodi. Thank you so much for joining us. Just to get started, do you want to introduce yourself to the listeners? Tell them a little bit about who you are and how we know each other.
Sure, thank you very much for having me. At long last, I feel like it's been a long time coming, but we were saving me for a rainy day. So, as Jack said, my name is Jodi, and me and Jack have been best pals for a long, long time now. We first met each other in our school days, and we went all through school together. And ever since then, we just can't get rid of each other because we keep ending up working in the same places. And then we've both kind of moved away at various times, but now we've both ended up back living like 10 minutes around the corner from each other. So by this point, we are like two minds in one person, and it's a crazy person, but it works.
Yes, yes.
So yes, it's nice to be on the pod. I feel like, you know that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Like if the pod was a child by this point, I feel like I'm bound to be part of the village. Like I'm always there behind the scenes. So it's nice to actually be here in person for the first time.
Uh-huh. And first of probably many. And I like how you called it a rainy day. It's the Christmas special, Jodi. We've got to cheer it up. It's Christmas. We're talking about positive, fun, nice things. Um, but yes, we have known each other for a very long time. And yes, due to circumstances beyond our control,
Hmm.
a certain pandemic, which we will not go into because it's Christmas, so we have to be positive. We are back where we belong, at home. And yes, we have worked together several times in the past. I started first at Deep Sea World and then you, I feel like, did I submit your CV or did you come along afterward? I can't remember. I feel like I was like, I have a friend who is looking for a job, and then you came along and
Hmm.
we both worked there, and then I went to the zoo. And then I'm making you sound like a stalker. I went to the zoo, and then you followed me to the zoo. But
Although
we're
I
at
was in
different.
a different role at the zoo than you were
Yeah,
in, so it kind of balanced out a little bit.
yes. So we've been kind of all, yes, and then school and everything. So we have known each other for a very long time, and it is, yes, melded into one mind of like, yes, almost at the way where it's like, if I have if I'm trying to make a decision, I'm like, I know the answer to the question, but I really don't want to accept the answer to the question. I will go to Jodie because I know she will give me the answer that I would have given myself, but I had to hear it from someone else. That's the
Yeah,
level we're at, just for listeners.
always.
Yes. So you might get quite a biased podcast because we'll have the same opinions, but it will
Hmm.
be at least we'll all agree for Christmas. Um, so just to get us started for the listeners a bit more, obviously they don't know this, but you are currently studying to be a teacher in education and kind of, but what I know you and why you're here is because of your love of animals and kind of nature and all that sort of stuff. And I wondered, just to introduce yourself to the listeners a bit more, where did that all come from and where did that stem from for you?
Um, Honestly, I feel like I've got a bit of a different answer than the usual typical answer to this question, because normally when you ask people where their love of nature and animals and everything came from, they'll be like, "Oh, I've loved them since before I can remember." But for me, honestly, that actually wasn't really the case. Not in a bad way, just like growing up, I didn't really have pets. I lived in a council estate, so we weren't really close to nature. Like, it just wasn't really on my radar very much. And then honestly, I feel like it was when I went to deep sea.
Mhm.
I went there just to give people a bit of background. You know the story, but I ended up at deep sea just because upon leaving school, I just needed a job quite quickly. And after looking for a while, Jack kind of went one day, "Well, my work's hiring, but I haven't brought it up before because it's very animally and hands-on, and you'll have to, hold snakes and creepy crawlies, and I don't know if that's really your bag." But at the time I was like, you know what? I can do it. I can fake it till I make it. And I had experience from school with drama and public speaking and things. So I thought, I'm confident in front of a crowd. I can remember speeches and scripts and things. So I thought I can learn about animals and just stand up there and be confident and make it work and learn on the job as I go. So yeah, so Jack handed in my CV and then I ended up at Deep Sea. And really there, that was where the love and appreciation for animals and nature and conservation and all of that kind of came in, just because it's the first time I've been exposed to it. And yeah, I just remember thinking, why has this never been on my radar before? Because since working there, like, it completely changed my outlook. And obviously I've since then gone on to the zoo, and I've looked at a lot of that kind of thing throughout my studies. And yeah, so it's just become one of my biggest passions, because I kind of got thrown into that world at the deep end, no pun intended, at deep sea. But I got thrown in at the deep end and then just realized that I loved it. And now, in a way, I kind of like that, because it's not the typical story of every conservationist, but it kind of shows that there is no one right path into conservation, and it's never too late. And me and Jack were lucky enough recently to go to a conference at Chester Zoo that was all about conservation, and one of the things that was talked about there was about how there's so many more ways to be involved in conservation than just like the zookeepers on the ground feeding the animals every day. And I feel like that was kind of my path, because as you say, like, I'm interested in education and that's where I want to take my career. And doing these jobs has shown me that there's so much more to conservation. You can engage with people, you can educate people. It's a really multifaceted area. So my journey has kind of been a little bit less typical, but I feel like it's a good advertisement for people who haven't grown up with it all their lives.
Yes, yes. And that was the perfect introduction, I think, because that has introduced so many little themes that will arise throughout. And I think if we take us back to the beginning at that first
Hmm.
role, that is where you started your journey. And I hate the word journey. I keep saying the word journey, but I kind of like, it makes it sound very like, it is spiritual in a way because you found this love, but it is also, it's very
Yeah,
like, I've been on a journey sounds quite pretentious sometimes.
it
But
is. It's
that's
a
just a
journey. It's Christmas. We're getting into it. It's spiritual. Come
like,
on.
oh, the three wise men
And
traveled across
yes,
the
following the star. It took me to deep sea.
You followed the starfish. That's what it was. You followed
I
the
thought,
starfish.
yes. See, see.
um, so yes, we are now going to talk through the points of your journey and some of the
Mhm,
different things that we've done together. And we're going to make sure at each stop to give it a bit of a festive twist. We're going to think about what we were grateful for, what we've learned, what we kind of appreciate. And we'll come back at the end and kind of talk overall about what we can be doing um, to, yeah, support conservation during the festive period, whether you're celebrating Christmas or another holiday or whatever it is. Um, yes, there's so much we can do, and we'll come back to that at the end as well. But back to the start, let's talk about our first experience working together, which was, of course, at Deep Sea World. And I think it was a hard place to work in a way because there was so much to learn all at once. But I always found it was the most incredible, wonderful place to work as well at times because it was just fun and there was always the opportunity to interact with animals and do something different and learn and grow and just develop. And I wondered what your experience was of that and what your opinions was and some of your favorite memories perhaps of that
mhm.
time.
So, in all honesty, I feel like when ask, what's my favorite memories of deep sea, the things that come to mind are things that can't be said in public on a podcast. Just because it's to do with the people that we worked with and all the little crazy day to day behind the scenes things that went
Mhm.
on when we were working there. But certainly, I can tell you about like my favorite animals and some of the takeaways there. Um, and I suppose this wasn't one moment, but it was like repeated moments that I always had was when we were through the back in the behind the scenes area where there was the connection to the main tunnel tank. And Stella the stingray would come up and like there were so many for the listeners at home, you can't see the physical reaction Jack just had there to the mention of Stella, but Stella the stingray would come up and if you were kind of waiting on people as they were getting ready for dives or doing an access all areas or whatever, you would just be stood there and she'd come right up and you could just pet her. Maybe don't try that at home if you ever meet a stingray out in the wild, but Stella was a special case. And you'd be just standing there petting a stingray, just chilling on your lunch break or whatever. And it was the moments like that that would kind of ground you in a way and make you think, this is my job. Like, this is my life. I'm being paid to do this. And I think any job, after a while, no matter how amazing it is, it just becomes a job when you're there every day, and you kind of can forget about the magic of it sometimes. And it was moments like that that would really take me back to the start and be like, hang on a minute, get some perspective. Look at how amazing this is. And it's moments like that that I look back on now and remember and just think, wow, like I was so lucky to have the chance to do that. So that's always a nice moment for me.
Stella, the absolute, and that's the thing. I think we're not probably not meant to have favorites, but there are certain individual animals that I think over time you form a connection with, and you just there's something about them that is extra charismatic and extra lovable
Mhm.
and extra fantastic. And Stella was certainly one of them because she would yes, she was just bizarre. She just like the most lovely, cuddly, straight. And it's funny because I think a lot of people think cute animals are the ones that we need to save and the ones that are the most
Mhm.
interesting because they've got fluffy things and they've got big eyes and big floppy ears or whatever it is. They think, oh, those are the cute animals. But in fact, this like Stella, to this day, if I was to rank the cutest animals I've ever worked with, Stella is like up the top of that list because she is just the
Mhm.
most fantastic. Was like just brought a smile to your face every time you saw her when she jumped out. She'd give you a fright sometimes because you'd just
Yeah.
hear this like wet slap
Yeah.
against the like, and she would be like up banging against the side, be like, "Hello, come and see me." And she just loved the attention. But that was one. I guess the other animals that stand out to me, we have. I have to mention my namesake, the
Mhm.
wonderful Jack, the bearded dragon. I would get up every bearded dragon reptile meet a reptile presentation and begin with "Hello, I'm Jack, and this is Jack." And that often, I mean, it was not funny, but it got a couple laughs because I think people were like, "Oh, this is the level of comedy we're in for the next 10 minutes." But like he was so special. So and his sister Finn, so just like mental. Like she hated me. She hated me. Every animal in that place loved me except for Finn, who every time I walked in would like slam herself against the front of the vivarium to be like, "You back off." But everyone
I
else
think
loved
Finn just hated Ben, to be fair.
yeah,
Just
it was
really, she wasn't for you.
bias. I feel a fair bias, but still bias. Um, and yes, I of course Finn and the corn snakes, and I think one that we both would appreciate is of course Tinkerbell.
Mhm.
All of the sharks were amazing, but Tinkerbell I think had this legacy of like I remember growing up and going to see Tinkerbell because she was just this huge 3 meter long shark that was um quite intimidating, but had this very cute, nice name and just fantastic. And I think everyone was in awe when they saw her. I
Yeah,
don't know.
she was the one that everyone remembered, wasn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Did you have any more standouts for you? Any,
I mean, we have to mention the seals, of course.
of course.
Seals were special because I guess when we started, they were still very young, weren't they? And then it's crazy to look back now and think, oh, we've gotten so old. And it's like, well, yes, that's how time works. But
Yeah.
it's just when you feel like you were kind of there from the beginning, then you feel like you were on the journey with them, just to bring the journey in again. And yeah, like we were talking about the angel sharks earlier, and we had some angel sharks which were really special just because they were pretty rare by that point, and they were locally extinct in the North Sea, and there weren't a lot of aquariums that had managed to breed them and things. So that was a really special time to be there to get to kind of see them every day. So they always stand out, and I think they were um, always a really good animal to highlight. When you're at deep sea, and you would have moments sometimes when people would come in and have a discussion with you, and perhaps they weren't in favor of zoos and aquariums and things. And they were always a really good example to say, well, in a perfect world, maybe we wouldn't need zoos and aquariums, but unfortunately, we're not in a perfect world. And the reason that probably 99% of these animals aren't thriving out in the wild is because of us, because we're not making it sustainable for them out there. And the angel sharks were a really good example to show, this is one of the only aquariums where they've been bred, and so it's precisely because of collections like this that these animals have a lifeline here and they have a chance of survival. So that's always a nice moment to be part of, to be able to sort of highlight that as well.
That was a good yes, and there was something about them that I think they just captured people's imaginations because if you went round and had a look, you might not necessarily see them the first time you went
Hmm.
round. When you heard
Yeah.
their story and you saw them and you got captured by this like very strange creature that would jump up from underneath the sand to catch its food,
Hmm.
um, not very angelic, but it's still they looked quite angelic. They were still that's Christmas. There we
Oh,
go. There's another
angels,
Christmas
of
light.
course. We're going to be dropping in these little Christmas Easter eggs all the way through.
Yeah, just if see if you pick up every time. Yes, it's Christmas,
It's
so
like
every
Christmas
time,
bingo.
yeah, every time you hear a Christmassy word, eat a chocolate or something. Just do something like the equivalent. Yes, so yeah, we had the angel sharks and they were fantastic. I loved learning more about them when I first started, and then telling people this story about how and I think stories like theirs with the trawler fishing and how they're
Mhm.
scooped up is something that I think impacted a lot of people because they would see these animals, fall in love with them, and then be impacted by the stories of what's happening out in the wild and perhaps change their behavior.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic to get that opportunity to kind of help tell their story. Um, I think beyond the animals as well, something that was really special for me. I should also say before we forget, the seals were fantastic. Benji and Cody will forever be in my heart as the two sweetest seals. And yes, they were just the best. Anyway, back to the beyond the animals. Before we get too caught up in just the animals, was the experience of working there, and I think some of the people made that experience so special. And there were certain moments that just, yeah, made you laugh, made you smile, and that kind of kept you going and helped make the
Mhm.
conservation and the work that we were doing just really fun and really, yeah, special and in the moment. And it was around Christmas time. There was often things like being dressed as an elf or being forced to do things Christmassy that were, yes, maybe a bit more challenging, but the people there just made it all fantastic. And I think one memory, which I would like to tell because it is personally hilarious, and I don't know if you have an equally hilarious story to tell, but I'm going to go with this one, was the time that the aquarium is based on a large quarry, which is filled with water over time. And every so often we go out in the quarry and scoop up all of the debris, and we would go out into the quarry and scoop up all of the debris. And there was one, there was one summer where myself and one of my colleagues, who I think it should they remain nameless?
I mean, they know who they are.
They know who they are. Went out in the boat, and scooped up all this rubbish, went back over to the shore of the quarry. I do still think it might have been my fault, slightly. I will not admit it fully, but I was at the front of the boat, stepped out, and they had stood up at the same time. But when I stepped out of the boat, obviously the weight was gone, so it started shaking and tipped back. They they then lost their balance because of the tipping of the boat and fell straight back into the lagoon. Just it was an awful day for them because they then had to walk around with wet pants for the rest of the day. But it was absolutely hilarious for everybody else. And I just think that like moments like that where you're doing something very mundane, but something hilarious happened was always my favorite days at Deep Sea. Uh,
Mhm. I
I
know,
don't
and
know.
it was those kind of moments that just can't be scripted. You know, they would just happen on like a random Tuesday afternoon, and it's like, this is what's getting me out of bed in the morning. Like,
Watching a grown woman fall backwards into a lagoon is the reason
oh, I
I.
mean, I wasn't even involved in that, and it's still one of my favorite memories from deep sea as well. So I'm glad that that has now been immortalized in time through the podcast.
It was just fantastic, and yes, I don't know. I guess because it is Christmas, we want to put a Christmassy twist on all of our moments together. We want to think about what we're grateful for, what we learned, and what we kind of. Yes, I think it's been a very nostalgic time, which I think is a big element of Christmas. But we want to highlight the grateful element as well. So,
Mhm.
what for you? What are you most grateful for from that experience of working there? What did you? Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. I mean, so much more than I can ever say. But I really feel, I get not to get all like, it's the journey again. But really, what that was, going to work there was a move that changed the trajectory of my life
Mhm,
completely. Like, I met people there that changed my life, and I had experiences there that have changed my life that I just wouldn't have had had
mhm,
I not gone to work there. And even though it's been many years since I worked there now, those experiences from that time continue to serve me to this day. They
mhm,
continue to have an impact on my life. And it's little things, that I do these days, and then the deep sea days come back. And so
mhm,
things like I go up to Orkney quite a lot, and you're out and about, and there's so much, wildlife up there, and it's beautiful. And you're going around the beach, and there's seals, and there's rock pools, and it's just wonderful to be able to break out the old talks and like tell
mhm,
whoever I'm with all about the rock pools, and tell them facts about seals that they wouldn't have known before, that I wouldn't have known had I not worked there, and things to look out for on the beach, like you can look for nurdles and all that kind of thing, and just kind of get involved and make a bit of a difference, which I wouldn't have done. And like when I was in Orkney, I went diving, and it's like, who, me in a past life, when would I have ever done that before
mhm,
I'd gone to deep sea? It just gives you so much more of an appreciation for this world, that we have around us. And I think because deep sea highlights a lot of our sort of native wildlife as well, it gives you more of an appreciation of Scotland and all the amazing creatures that we have around about us to be grateful for as well. But yeah, more than I can ever say for deep sea,
mhm.
honestly. But yes.
I think so. And I think for me, it was like going and working in this place where I'd grown up
Mm,
and like going weekly, probably with my mom in a buggy all the way up to like the moment I got the job there, I'd been visiting. And it was like, yes, it kind of reassured me in my mind that this is what I wanted to do and this is the path that I wanted to go down. And I think, yes, similarly to you, it has changed the trajectory because it was the first job that I got that obviously I got the job just as we were leaving high school. And it was kind of that point where I was going away to do international relations and politics. And it was kind of the point where I could have, in theory, have just gone down that route and just focused on politics because that's what I was good at school. But
mhm,
having the animal elements kind of creep in more and more allowed me to kind of explore different routes and do different things. And it just was the best time. And so, yeah, I'm grateful for the path that it put me on. I'm grateful for the knowledge it gave to me.
mhm,
I'm grateful for the people I met, and I'm grateful for just the experience of everything that was. And even when it was hard or difficult, or there was days where it was really
mhm.
busy, or you were kind of on reception for ages. I should clarify for people as well. Our jobs were visitor services, which meant we were doing everything from talks to so it was a very diverse time. So it was lots
And
of things to
everything
be
in
done.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But in
lots of
in
yeah.
that vein, I think another thing that I'm grateful for with deep sea is that it showed me how capable I was. Like, because I was just out of school, I was young, I didn't have maybe the most confidence in myself, and it showed me that I could get up in front of a room or a whole tunnel full of people, and I could control a crowd, and I could hold them, and I could hold snakes, like literally snakes and creepy crawlies, and like feed fish guts to things. Like, it's just stuff that I never young me never ever would have dreamed that I'd be able to do, and it showed me that I could. And as you say there, our job was so so crazy at times because we were doing everything. But that I think serves us well because now whatever job we walk into, chances are we've probably had some experience of doing
Mhm.
at least one element of the job, and that's all because of deep sea.
Yeah.
So it was crazy, it was chaos, but it was the most fun chaos ever, and I will always be so grateful beyond words for what it gave me.
And also, just you saying throwing fish guts has reminded me of someone who must get a mention, which is the alligator gar, who I just loved. I loved that gar. And I won't go into too much detail because we've already spoken about deep sea a lot. And this kind of, he missed the boat in the first round of special mentions, but he will be mentioned. And the story of the gar will be told in the future about how terrifying he was to children and how much I loved him for it. So, yes, so much to be grateful for, so much that we learned, so many Christmas Easter eggs there. Is Easter egg perhaps a Christmas reference as well? Because Easter,
Oh,
Christmas,
who knows?
similar themes.
We're
Who
thinking
knows?
ahead here.
Our Easter special. No. So yes, that was a brilliant, fantastic, wonderful time. And then for me, that kind of ended around, I think it was third. I'd finished my third year of uni, was going to go back and do fourth year, and it just got to the point where with dissertation and everything, I thought this is the time to focus on studies for a little while.
Mhm.
So best to kind of give it up for now. But then, in very quick succession, after my fourth year, I started work for the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland, where I worked in the Discovery and Learning team to do the summer school program. And then along, just a few months later, along comes Jodi, to work in
Never
a
far
slightly
behind.
a little bit different role. So we were based at Edinburgh Zoo, just because to clarify for people, because the Royal Zoological Society has two sites. They have the Highland Wildlife Park and they have Edinburgh Zoo. So we were both based there, but different departments. So what was it you were up to at Edinburgh Zoo and have been up to actually for a few years?
Yeah, I've kind of been and gone a few times. So at the moment, I'm kind of doing what you were just talking about there. I'm in my fourth year at uni, so I'm having a little bit of a break at the moment. But I've been back. You know, I've gone and been back and gone and been back. So I'll be back again. When I'm there, I work in the business operations and visitor experience department, which kind of covers a mixture of admissions, retail in the gift shop, and more recently stewarding, which is kind of like engagement out in the park. So it's quite a mixed bag.
That's good. And it's kind of the skill set from Deep Sea World slimmed down
Hmm.
slightly. You don't have as much of the extra bonus stuff, but you do have the kind of still public engagement, the talking,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
reception time to kind of chat to folk.
Hmm.
And yes, I guess it's a very different job from the role that I'm in. And I hear stories and I hear bits and pieces come through. And I think I wanted to ask what is it that you enjoy the most about that and the kind of working for a conservation organisation like the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland? What is it there that you enjoy?
Well, in my role specifically, the thing that I enjoy the most is the engagement side of things. It's getting to be out talking to the public, and as part of that, we've done some crazy things. I have been dressed as an elf at Christmas time, helping Santa to make enrichment for animals. I've been in a big a thing that we call the Lego hut, which was basically a gazebo with a giant pit of Lego that children could just dive into. This was pre-COVID, I might add. I don't think it would pass these days. And then just countless days out and about in the park, usually in some of our busier areas of the park. So up at Pandas or Giraffes or down at the Penguins, you know, these areas. Just kind of being a presence, making sure everyone's getting on okay and having a good day and everyone's behaving themselves. And that's just my favorite part about my role because you just get to be out and about talking to people, telling them about the animals that we have, why they're so amazing, telling them all about the work that the RZSS does, because not a lot of people are really aware of all the work that goes on perhaps behind the scenes and out in the world with all the conservation projects and things. And I guess that's why I love, like, the second part of that question is why I love working for the RZSS in general. Is just because I'm so proud to work for them. Like, I can say wholeheartedly, I am so proud to be a representative of that organization in whatever small capacity I might be in. It's just lovely to be able to play a role in that and help that because I just believe in what they do so much.
I'm going to step in there though and say I do not believe in saying that it is a small role or whatever is completely incorrect because I'm going to big you up and I'm going to big up the role actually of everybody who. So if any of you, if you send this link to any of your friends who work in the same team as you, because I believe personally, as you can tell, I like to talk. And I think talking and engaging people on conservation and telling them stories and helping them to form these like opinions about conservation and all of these things in their mind, being out there and on the ground talking to them is just as, if not more important sometimes than doing research or other things. Because I always say this, and I'm going to say it again because it's quickly becoming my catchphrase. I should put it on a t-shirt. Like, you could write the best paper in the world on conservation, no one reads it. if no one reads it, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Like, no one's going to find out. It's people who do the roles that you do, where you talk to people and you tell these stories and you help them engage. They're the important roles because you reach so many more people. You're like the amplifier of the stories that and the base. So I reject the fact that you say that it is a small role and a small capacity. Even dressed as an elf, you are having and making a big Christmassy difference. So that is,
Oh.
yeah, that is, I would, yeah, disagree with you on that. I think that's the first time I've ever disagreed with a guest. Usually I say yes, even if I'm sat going, oh, I don't know. Oh, that's a new opinion. Oh, interesting. I've never disagreed. I think this is
It's
the
because
first
it's
time.
me, so you're
Yeah.
not afraid to disagree with me because you know you can get away with it. No, but I
Yeah.
do agree. It's just, and I suppose that's what I was saying earlier about how there's no one way to be involved in conservation. It's just there's these other little ways that maybe people don't think about and they wouldn't realize its importance. But I mean, obviously, something that's been highlighted to us over the past year with COVID, is that you know if you don't have a team down on reception, engaging people, encouraging them to come in and buy a ticket and go in and have a day there, then how does the park run? Like if there's no one there letting people in, how's it running? And obviously, parks like the zoo are a really important part of the charity and a really important way that they can generate income to do all the amazing things that they do. But then the parks, you know, in and of themselves, are also just so valuable for people as well, aren't they?
You're handling the funds that go on to fund projects. You're
Hmm.
taking the money and you're engaging people and telling the stories that then goes on to fund the projects that RZSS works with. If you've listened to the episode with Dr. Arnaud Debier about
Hmm.
their giant armadillo conservation project, they fund that. They fund so many projects around the world and do lots of research. And yes, so that key first point of engagement is so, so important. And it gives the lasting impression to the people who
Yeah.
come in.
Yeah, well,
Um,
we always say this because when people, I mean, I can't speak for other sites, but certainly with the zoo, when they come in, the reception team are the first people they meet. So that's your first impression. And then when they're leaving, the last team they meet are in the gift shop. And then they're the people that are like, have you had a good day? What was your favorite animal? And it just leaves them with a nice little, you know, sort of last impression as they're heading home for the day. So, yeah.
And I guess now we've kind of got through the bigging up the role and you're engaging people on all of these animals. I would like to know from you, what are your favorite animals or moments from the zoo? What are the stories you like to tell? Um,
Oh my goodness, where do I begin? Well, my favorite animal for a long time has been the red panda. Even before I worked at the zoo, I just love red pandas. And obviously, we have been very lucky. The past few summers, our pair of red pandas have had not one but two babies over the past few years, and I've been there when both have been born. So that's been really special. And I think special moments in general, it's always a special moment when there's babies born, and I feel like I love all of the animals that we have at the zoo, but you feel a real sort of extra special connection with the babies that are born when you're there. So like I was there when the lion cubs were born a few summers back. I was there this summer when Amara, the baby pygmy hippo, was born. So then these ones, you always have just a bit of an extra special soft spot for them because you feel like you were there at the beginning. And then talking about babies, it's like the birth of Jesus, Jack. It's
I was going
Christmas.
to say some of them were actually born in stables. Some
They
of
were.
them were
I
actually born
know.
in.
So yeah, so that's amazing. And then I mean, we have of course special mention has to go to our queen Dharma, the Sumatran tiger. I will let you talk about her because I know that you just feel so emotional about this. I can see in your face.
I love Dharma. Dharma was there from, I think Dharma arrived just before I started, I think. And from the very moment I locked eyes with Dharma for the first time, and she looked through that glass at me as if to say, I would murder you if this glass wasn't here. And I looked back at her and said, I love you. That, that was the moment the connection was formed. And she just, there's something about a tiger, and I don't know what it is that I like the unique, the bizarre, the kind of weird conservation stories. But
Hmm.
there's something about Dharma who makes me say, okay, my one exception to highlighting the kind of strange is Dharma because I love her so much. She's
Hmm.
the most charismatic, wonderful tiger in the world, and I could spend hours of my life standing watching her wander around, wander kind of over things, under things, round things, spot her. I often find myself watching the tiger cam that the zoo has set up online that you can sit
Hmm.
watch. And Sumatran tigers, there are so few of them left in the wild. I think it's less than 400, I think is the number. And so zoos around the world play a vital role in protecting animals like Dharma and ensuring that future generations of people will get to see and be inspired by them, but also ensure that out in the wild they are protected and that the ones that are there will thrive. And it's just, I think she is the most wonderful representative of that because she has so much charisma and so much character. And what I was equally happy with was when they introduced a second tiger to the zoo, the
Hmm.
lovely Luku. He is just as charismatic because he has these eyes that are, he looks not insane, but like he just has these big round eyes that are like, you feel like you're being hypnotized when you look into them. And it's just,
Mm.
the Sumatran tigers that we have at the zoo are just the most fantastic. And if you want to help them, you can do things like kind of reducing your consumption of palm oil and just changing your diet slightly, or supporting different companies and just doing research into kind of where you're buying products from and what you're supporting and where your money is going. And a great way to kind of yeah, support is to go to places like this and see Dharma and Luku. And so I'm gonna take a step back now before I just talk about them for the next 25 minutes. But
You could have a whole episode on them.
just Dharma. Just my I love her so much. Like I stood, like yesterday we were at the zoo and I stood for hours just by myself watching Dharma. Jodie was off talking to people because she's a regular human who likes to talk to other humans, but I stood and watched Dharma for ages and it was just magical. And then of course, who else? There's so many that I just, obviously there is another namesake. There is a Visayan warty pig called Jack. Um, who I remember standing there while running the summer school, and I didn't know his name. And I was standing there with a group of 20 kids I was meant to be looking after, and the keeper who was doing the kind of feeding of the Visayan warty pigs came up and said, "Oh yeah, his name's Jack too." And the kids, I mean, at the time I didn't love it because the kids found it very funny that had the same name as a pig that was covered in warts. But then I realized, no, he is amazing, and I love him. And there's some, again, another one I could stand and look at for hours. I don't know. Of course, we would be remiss not to mention Chan Chan and Yang Wan are giant pandas, and they are actually the one thing I can say in Chinese. Would you like to hear how? Do you know how to say panda in Chinese?
No, I don't. Let me know. Let us,
I'm
me and the
I'm I'm
listeners
going to mess
know.
up the pronunciation now, but I have it on good authority from Penny, one of our previous guests, that this is
Mhm.
perfect pronunciation. It is Da Xiong Mao. There you
Oh,
go. So that is how you say giant panda. So if anyone ever asks you, I mean, I can't imagine it'll come up often. And they are fantastic big eaters. Another Christmas theme, big eaters. Uh,
uh-huh.
Slightly lazy, but fantastic animals. And yes, so Edinburgh Zoo is the only place in the UK to have them.
They are, yeah.
And it is just been, I think they go such a long way in inspiring people as well. So I,
Oh, honestly, I mean, a part of my job, what I've done for a few summers now, is spend more hours than I care to count standing at that panda enclosure, managing the queue because people queue. I'm for hours. I'm not even exaggerating. They will queue for hours. They will stand there in the rain for hours to catch a single glimpse of these pandas. And it's moments like that, like I was saying earlier, as with any job, after a while, you kind of forget how amazing it is and it just becomes your job. And it's moments like that, witnessing that, where it makes you remember, actually, no, this is amazing. And I am so privileged to be a part of this. And you just see the power that animals and nature and conservation can have, that people have come from literally the other side of the world, come to Edinburgh to see these pandas. And yeah, so it's moments like that that definitely just kind of highlight the power and how inspiring these can be to people and the impact it can have on their lives.
I think so. And I think while we're having this discussion, I think before we transition into this was a good transition into what we're grateful for, but I think I'm going to pause it for a second, put that on hold. And I want to try us, we should both try and highlight one animal. We've talked about a lot of charismatic megafauna,
Uh-huh.
the big popular animals, but what is one animal I would like to know from you, Jodie, that people underappreciate in the zoo and they maybe walk past or they just don't spend enough time looking and loving? Would that be for you?
Oh, that is a good question. Let me think. Let me think. I'm
I
going
know.
through like the zoo map in my head. If you know, you can go first. You can tell me yours
I
and I'll
know.
think about mine.
I feel like we all know what mine is. Well, me and Jodie know what mine is going to be, and that is, of course, the Banteng.
Oh
I
my god.
love a banteng.
Oh no.
I love a banteng more than any other animal in the world. And I tell the story of the banteng. I have already recorded our New Year's special with Tasnia, so tune back in to hear why exactly I love the banteng. But they're just these beautiful cows. And I it's such a stupid description. It's such a strange thing to say to someone like they are beautiful cows. And people look at you like, what are you saying? But they're just these most beautiful cows. And I've just there's something about they're so peaceful, serene, watching them yesterday in the fog as they just kind of wandered out of their they're just incredible, wonderful, endangered type of cow from Asia that you should look up a picture of because they're very gorgeous and I love them and they're strange, but well, not strange, but people would find them strange, and I find them. Oh, and also I'm gonna jump in with a sec. Actually, I'll let you go in case I've stolen yours, but I do have
Um,
another thing's just come into my head.
so one thing that I would highlight, just because it annoys me, is that when, like, one time I walked past a group of visitors who were standing looking at our little goats. We've got some little pygmy goats. One of the first things you kind of see as you're coming up the hill in the zoo. And I heard someone saying something along the lines of, I just disagree with prime zoo real estate being given to goats. And I was so insulted for the goats. And I went and marched over to them and told them the story of why we have them. Because, they're lovely. They are lovely little creatures. But they're there to highlight a partnership that we have with Badongo. So anyone who's been to the zoo knows that our large chimpanzee facility is called the Badongo Trail. And we do a lot of work out there out in the forest and things, out in the field. And the reason that we have the goats there is because one of the things that they do out in the field is to encourage hunters and things to stop hunting the chimps for their bushmeat. What they'll do is, if they can get the hunters to agree to a partnership and to stop that hunting, they will provide them with a pair of these goats so that they still have a way of sort of making money, so that they still have an income they can use the goats. So then it's kind of highlighting that partnership and these little steps that they're taking. So that's why they're there, and they're one of the first things you see, because that's kind of the last enclosure before you go round the corner to Badongo. So I don't know if we have a sign up that explains this, but I think it's a really lovely story, and it highlights a really important conservation project that's going out in the wild. So I always like to raise it to people. But yeah, that man that said that he disagreed with prime zoo real estate being given to goats, and I just thought, well, what a shame for the goats. What have the goats ever done to him?
And the most important, like it's telling an important story, sir.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Well, I like that, and I do like the links that a lot of the animal. I think a lot of the animals that we have at the zoo do have these links to conservation projects and important messages behind them out in the wild, and so that's an important one. Um, my story is less. My story is less perhaps emotive, but my other bizarre creature that I would like to highlight is our lovely Chinese Goral, which, like the goats, I feel like might be an underappreciated thing, but
yeah.
he is just so wonderful, and I don't know
Mhm.
why. They are. They're easiest to. I would say they're very cute. They're easiest to Google a picture of. You'll find pictures of them all over my Instagram account. So if you're not following us at Pangolin Podcast, make sure to because you'll see lots of pictures of them. Um, they're a type of yes. They are almost like they're like mountain goats in a way, but they look nothing like mountain goats because they scamper around on hills and all these things. And
Mm,
they're just an incredibly charismatic little species that we
absolutely. And I
highlighted.
have to say, I think I'm allowed to say this. He is a firm favourite with the members of Bove within the zoo. My team absolutely love him. He's definitely a fan favourite. And he's fondly known by the zoo staff as Stanley, even though that is not his name. His name is Danling. But that came from one day a visitor asked what his name was, and the member of staff responded Dan Ling, and they misheard and thought he was called Stanley. So now he's affectionately nicknamed Stanley by every member of both. So give him a wave and shout hi to him if you ever see him. He's one of the first animals that you'll see when you come in the zoo.
Yes, yes. And so, yes, I think we should now. I mean, we're grateful for all of these creatures, great and small. Oh, there we go. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small. That's kind of
There we
Christian.
go.
There we go. We're bringing it back to the Christmas thing, and we are going to talk about what are you personally perhaps most grateful for your time at the zoo, for the
Oh,
animal. What thing are you most grateful for, perhaps, from your experience with the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland?
I mean, where to even begin? Two things come to mind. The first I have to mention, because somehow we haven't mentioned them yet, is the giraffes. Um, so, as part of the 5-year plan, we got our giraffes recently, and that was a really special moment because obviously I was there when they arrived, and it's always nice being a part of an organization like that. It's nice to just kind of be involved in the behind the scenes a little bit, and you know that things are coming before maybe the public do, and often we might get to see them before they open to the public and things like that. And it's just a really such a privilege to be involved um and new arrivals and that kind of thing, and just to be there the summer that the giraffes arrived, because that
Mhm.
was such a really good moment for Edinburgh and for the society as a whole. So that was lovely, and I'm grateful for that experience.
I'm going to jump in one real quick
Oh, go for it.
to say that we have an episode with the Giraffe Conservation Foundation featuring
You
Julian and
do.
Stephanie Fennessy,
Hmm.
after which one of the giraffes is named Fennessy.
Yeah,
Um,
Finn. Hmm.
so if you're interested in giraffe and giraffe conservation and the partnership between RZSS and GCF, listen to that episode. Sorry, please continue.
No, no, that is a really good point. Yeah, and that's I'm so grateful for that experience over the summer, just getting to stand up there at the giraffes, watch them settling in, talking to visitors about them. And they're in such a lovely spot as well. Like just been stood there on a nice bright summer's day, looking out across that sort of skyline across Edinburgh, seeing the city behind them, and then just having the giraffes. It's again one of those kind of pinch me moments where you have to think, this is my job, you know? So that was amazing. And the other thing that I have to mention that I'm so grateful for is the people. And I could go on all day about this, so I will try and keep it short. But I'm just so grateful for the people that I've met there. And it maybe sounds a little bit strange to think you're here talking about animals and conservation, but the thing that you're most grateful for is the people. Like, how does that work? But I would have to say, and I'm sure you will agree with me when I say this, Jack, that I say this in the nicest way possible. Animal people are the most bonkers people you will ever meet in your life, and they are brilliant. And I just feel that this love of animals and conservation and nature, it just bonds us, you know, and it brings all these different people together. And I've walked with so many people from all these different walks of life that I never would have met otherwise. And this love of animals and nature and conservation is the thing that's brought us together and bonds us. And it becomes like a family. And I think it's because, you know, as we always say, you're never really going to get rich in these jobs. People don't do it for the money, they do it for the love of it. And because people have that real, genuine love and passion and belief in what they're doing, it just brings the best people with the biggest hearts into this sort of area as a career. And so you just meet the best people along the way. And that's definitely what working for the society has done for me. And friends for life. And I will be so grateful for that.
That's perfect answer. And to any of Jodie's friends crying at home, listening to that, I'm so sorry. But that's actually so nice, and it's a very good, strong message. And I think, yeah, it's yeah, I would totally agree in that nobody who works in conservation or with animals is selfish. Nobody
Mm,
has their own no in their mind. They never put themselves first. And if they do, I don't think they'd be a very good conservationist. So even with people, they tend to be really nice, really open, warm, friendly, great people. And so yes, I have to agree that yes, we're all mad, but
mm. All the best people are.
all the best people are. Um, we're gonna. That's our Alice in Wonderland theme episode ticked off. There we go. Not a Christmas film, Jodie. We'll try and circle back. We'll do another reference later on about a Christmas film. Uh, um, you filthy animal. Um, but yes, it was. It's yeah. People. I don't know what would my answer be for that. I'm trying to think of what I'm most grateful for, and I just think again, it's the type of like Edinburgh Zoo is the place that I grew up. Like
Yeah,
the
it's
hill
hard
that
to
it
put
is
it into
on.
words and pinpoint it down
Yeah.
to like one moment, isn't it?
I feel like it's almost like trying to be like it's like that pressure of trying to summarize all of your feelings in once, and you just can't do it because it is just this feeling of like joy when like walking
Mhm.
around yesterday, taking pictures, practicing photography, doing all these things. You just feel this sense of joy of being here, and I'm grateful that I have a place and an organization which represents in Scotland my interests and my passions, and still has these links to the rest of the world. And so that's what I'm grateful for, is that there's this place of just absolute joy that I can visit and be proud to work for.
Mhm.
And yes, I think while some people would prefer I stop talking sometimes about animals, it will never stop because I am so driven and motivated by things like the work of the RZSS and Edinburgh
Mhm.
Zoo. That kind of, yeah, that drives me and keeps me grounded and grateful for everything. So yes, and I'm also grateful for even I forgot what I was going to say. I'm also grateful.
Just so overcome with emotion.
I'm just so overcome. Yes, exactly. Um, so before we get too emotional, at this festive time of year, I keep saying that as if it makes it really Christmassy, but I feel like if I say the words festive and Christmas enough, it becomes a Christmas special.
It
Um,
does, yeah.
um, what we're actually going to move on to, though, is our festive conservation moments, our favorite festive conservation stories of the year, maybe festive conservation traditions that we have. I've written a couple down. So, my favorite festive moment of the year, I don't know if you'll agree, maybe you have a different one, but I feel like we're probably in one mind about this. My favorite festive moment of the year is, of course, the birth of the polar bear at the Highland Wildlife Park.
Mhm.
Um, Victoria and Arctos are parents once again. They are two of the four polar bears which currently reside at the Highland Wildlife Park. They were the parents of Hamish, who was born a few years ago, who has since gone on to, I think it's Yorkshire Wildlife Park. And the birth of a polar bear cub always just brings such joy and such festive energy, and just something about it just I when I found out, from the moment the email came into my inbox to the moment I fell asleep, I was smiling. I was so happy. It was just fantastic, fantastic news. And for me personally, I think it holds a lot of weight and a lot of emotion behind it, because when I saw Hamish for the first time, that's when I decided to do my conservation MSc and kind of commit to this career in conservation. And so to see that they're having a second cub was equally, if not more, exciting and emotive, and just made me feel full of holiday, festive cheer. I don't know. You probably agree with me, but I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just the best time. What did you think when you heard the news?
Oh, I mean, well, I thought, like, how fast can I get up there for a visit? Really was my first thought. I haven't been up there in a while, and it's always nice. It's a nice park to go to, especially because we're so used to Edinburgh. It's a
Mhm.
nice kind of contrast because they've got such a different landscape up there, and they've got animals up there that we don't have. So yeah, it's always nice for a visit. But definitely, I think once the wee ones had some time to grow up a little bit, a visit will definitely be in order.
So my that's yes, that is fantastic, and I think it's something that I would like to say. Just the biggest congratulations. I posted it on every social media platform at the time, but I'm going to say it again here. Congratulations to everybody who works at the Highland Wildlife Park, to Victoria and to Arctos for producing um, another fantastic cub, and I wish it and both of them all the best health wise and everything for the future, because it's just, yes, the most wonderful thing. So that's my favorite conservation festive moment of the year. My
Hmm.
favorite conservation tradition is that every year, many conservation organizations around the world, actually, I see pictures coming up from Los Angeles, from New York, from all over the world, of conservation organizations that have light shows within their parks and within their boundaries. And every year I make sure to go and visit like the Christmas light shows, because by supporting that and buying a ticket, you are supporting the conservation work that goes on in all of those organizations. So I have been this year to the Chester Zoo lights, I've been to Edinburgh Zoo lights, and I've been to the lights at the Royal Botanic Garden, Edinburgh. And yeah, all of them are just fantastic, fantastic things. And that money that you contribute, well, it does cover the cost of lights. It also covers the cost of lots of research and incredible work that goes on. So that is my favorite tradition. And I've been doing it for years now. And I know you
Hmm.
also have, Jodie. I don't know. Do you do the same? What are your favorite? I don't know. Where's your favorite place to go for these? Like, just tell me about your experience with these kind of
Sure.
traditional.
So yeah, I mean, I love a light show as well. You know, I love a lantern.
Yeah.
So yeah, so obviously Edinburgh's had lanterns for quite a few years, and now they do light shows. And I
Mhm.
always like to go down to the Botanics as well. And it's just a really lovely way to kind of light up the winter a little bit when otherwise you would just kind of be stuck inside in the dark at night. So yeah, it is a nice way to get out and just feel merry and bright. And I think I'm trying to think of other sort of conservation traditions that I have. Maybe less so a conservation tradition, but just a tradition to do with nature that I always like round about this time of year. Maybe less so Christmas, but certainly at the new year. I always like to go down to a beach. So go a
Mhm.
beach walk, or last year I went for what we call in Scotland a loony dook, which is you go in the water on New Year's Day. And it's just a really nice way to connect with nature at this time of year. And I think that's important because at this time of year, it's all about, I mean, in a good way, you've got family and there's noise and laughter and music and the drinks are flowing and there's food everywhere. And, it can just, which is lovely, but it can be a lot. And it's nice to kind of take some time to just go out and reconnect with nature a little bit and see that stillness and the peace. And it always grounds me a little bit and it gets me reflective about the year that's just gone and thankful, and sort of thinking about the year ahead and any goals that I might have. So that would be, that's my kind of little tradition at this time of year. Get out and connect with nature where you can, even though it's cold, um, just because it's always quite a nice way to ground yourself in the season, I think.
That's a really good answer, actually. That's a really nice one because it's something personal. It's something that I think anyone can do. Whereas it's not a ticketed event that if you're already spending a lot of money
Hmm.
at Christmas, you might not be able to go to. It's something you can do and just connect. That's a nice, yes. I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of that. A big fan of
yeah.
that choice.
And I was trying to think of conservation moments that have been festive, but for some reason, all of the moments that spring to mind involve me dressed in some kind of ridiculous costume. Like it's me dressed up as an elf. Or like I was talking to you about earlier, when we worked in the aquarium, there was one Christmas where the aquarium collected presents as part of the Giving Tree appeal, which people might have heard of. And then once they'd been collected, just before Christmas, we took all the gifts to a local hospital and went to the children's ward where there were children who maybe wouldn't be able to be at home for Christmas, for various reasons. And that was just a really nice thing to do. And I feel like it's just a nice thing to highlight there because at Christmas, it's all about hope and joy and peace. And that was a nice event to do, to be giving back and just to remember that even in difficult circumstances, there's hope and joy and love to be found there as well. And the way I feel like that connects to conservation is because we've talked about this before and we talked about it down at the conference in Chester. We were lucky enough to go to a brilliant presentation about conservation optimism and all that kind of thing. It can feel like in conservation there's a lot of doom and despair and you don't really know where to turn, but there's a lot of optimism, there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of light to be found in the darkness. And as you've said so emphatically already, there is so much joy to be found, even in circumstances that can be a little bit difficult. Look for the light, look for the joy, because I promise you it is there. And I suppose there's your Christmas message. So we just had to get it
I
in.
love that message. And I think it's such a good message to have is hope, joy, just yeah, this time of year brings so much happiness. And I think if we channel that throughout the year and throughout everything that we do and try and just,
Mhm.
even though it will peak at certain points, try and have this thread of underlying Christmas joy. It just,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I should
it
add
feels
as
so
well, the
good.
reason that that came up, followed on from that thread, is because when I went and handed out those presents in the hospital, I was dressed as a giant clownfish. So that's what the link was there, just for anyone who wonders how I made that jump. Just to give you that image.
And to anyone listening who is a fan of Charlie the Clownfish, Charlie is real, and Jodie was just walking with Charlie as he went round the hospital. Um, don't crush my dreams like this. Charlie the Clownfish.
Of
Charlie the
course.
six
Of
foot
course.
foot clownfish is a real life clownfish. Um, so yes, that is an excellent message. And I get you're good at setting me up for transitions. Leads us nicely onto my final question for us to think about, which was should the take home messages for this festive season be for Christmas, for conservation, for all of these themes, kind of tying them together this Christmas season? What should we take away and think about over Christmas?
Yes, I mean, I guess what I just said there about the optimism, and also something else that I was thinking about here is that obviously the Christmas season, there's a lot of consumerism and it's buying things and spending money and getting gifts, and there's a lot of focus on that as always. But it's really nice to be able to give back in this season as well. And as I just said, that's something that experience with the Giving Tree kind of highlighted. It's really nice and it's quite a humbling, grounding experience at this busy time of year to feel
Mhm.
like you're actually giving back rather than just kind of focusing on ourselves and our own little bubble. And that's something obviously we have had the privilege of working for some amazing charities over the years, and charity can be a really important part of this season. So things like, going forward over the Christmas season into the new year, you can support a local charity, a conservation charity, if that's what you're interested in, which I imagine it will be if you're listening to this podcast. Um, so obviously we've got charities like the RZSS, which is very close to our heart, and it's here in Scotland, but there are so many brilliant charities doing amazing things for animals, wildlife, conservation, nature. There will be one that you feel an affinity with. There will be something that you're interested in. And I would just say, yeah, consider giving where you can. And I would also add there's more ways to give that don't involve spending money. You don't just have to give money, you can give your time. For example, that's a really valuable one. There's so many charities who would be grateful for your time. You can volunteer, you can go and do beach cleans, you can do surveys with the public and public engagement, you can do things online. There's so many ways that you can get involved, and you can give and you can help out a charity that's close to your heart. And maybe that's just a nice thing to think about in this season, just to kind of think about the wider picture a little bit rather than our own little festive bubble.
And if you're struggling for gift ideas, you can be giving while giving, because
Yes.
sponsoring
Oh,
an
what
animal for
what a
someone,
segue.
sponsoring an animal, adopting an animal, buying people
Mhm.
tickets to go to a zoo or to support a conservation organization or to do these things, you can give somebody a gift while giving a gift to a charity. A lot of the time, people's parents or grandparents or like they would appreciate knowing that you've thought of them and maybe picked their favorite animal that you've sponsored or picked. Like that's still a thoughtful, nice gift, even if they don't receive necessarily a bit of plastic that they'll chuck in the bin at the end of the day. Like it's
Mhm.
it's still a thoughtful night. Like it doesn't. You don't have to give someone something physical that they're going to hold on to for them it to be a thoughtful, nice gift. You can be giving while giving and all of these things. And I think yes, it's a perfect idea. And I would highlight this is being recorded in late December. We were at the zoo yesterday. You can still visit these places and do all these things and support these organizations at this time of year, and it's just as magical. It may be a bit chilly
Mm.
outside, but
Yeah.
still, like this time of year at these places is often quieter. Like if you go out for
Mhm.
walks, if you go out and do kind of to zoos, wherever you go, nature tends to be quieter at this time of year because people are scared of the cold and the rain. But now is the perfect time to engage because they still stay as beautiful, they still stay as magical. You get the best photographs, you get the best time to connect with nature. Just go and
Absolutely. If
connect.
anyone hasn't seen Jack's photos of various animals in the mist that were taken yesterday, they are just magical. So get on and have a look at them.
Follow me on Twitter at Pangolin Podcast.
Hashtag wallabies in the mist.
Yes, all of the mists, all of them. And they will continue to be posted. I'm still deciding what I'm going to do with the photos of the giraffe because they are,
Yeah.
I think, the greatest. I'm going to put it out there. If anyone at Edinburgh Zoo is listening, I have taken the greatest photos ever taken in Edinburgh Zoo by mistake. And so if you would like them, just shoot me an email. I'll send them your way. I was going to say for a small price, but that would be wrong. They're charity. For a small donation, I will give. Like I will donate them to you. I meant don't donate to me. I will give you a donation. Those. Um, but yes, so yeah, you can do all these things. You can go out into nature. You can still go to the zoo. You can still enjoy all these things, no matter what time of year it is. And yeah, I think we've kind of given lots of good festive advice. One last thing, I guess, would be don't be wasteful this time of year.
Yes,
Would
yes,
be a final
sustainable.
kind of conservation thing. Like it's very tempting to eat a lot and drink a lot and do things, but like at least if you're eating and drinking a lot, recycle the packaging, please. Recycle the bottles that you get through. Um, as hard as it may be, the next morning you wake up after a celebration, you don't want to, just do it. All of these things do matter. And so, yes, just don't be overly wasteful at this time of year.
Mhm.
As much as there's celebration, we do still have to kind of think about what's going on around those scenes. I hate being a party pooper like that, but I'm not being a party pooper. Do you know what would be a party pooper move? Would be like letting all of the ice caps melt. So maybe don't do that, please. No. um, so yeah, that is my message for you all is support organizations, give lots of gifts, give like lots of gifts to the charities, and don't waste money. I think those are some good. Don't waste money, don't waste resources. I think those are some good bits of advice.
Mhm.
Um, and that brings us very an hour on. I swore I was going to make this one shorter to have to do less editing around Christmas, but it's okay because I think we've
No, you
good
should have
but
known when you were inviting me
yeah,
on it was not going to be a short one.
This is the thing. My last one, my anniversary special is half an hour. My episode
Mm.
with Tasnia, I think, is going to be over an hour, and this one is also going to be over half an hour, over an hour. So I did not meet my targets, but I tried my best. So um, I guess all that remains is for me to say. I guess Jodie, you are not perhaps you might not want people following you directly, but would you direct people to other charities, or where would you direct people at this point?
Yeah,
Any
I mean, I feel like I've already bigged it up so much, but honestly, like, go follow the zoo, go follow the RZSS, look at what they're doing because I just love them. I just love them. So that's your gift to me this Christmas. Go and support those guys because it's been a tough few years with COVID and they're just doing so much good. So go spread the joy.
Perfect. And yes, I will put links to all of that in the description for the episode, so you can check that out and go and follow them and support them. Thank you so much for your time at a very busy time of year for everyone. So thank you so much for joining me. I guess yes, we have just kind of talked about ourselves and our experiences for an hour, but I think this is just as exciting. And as I said at the start, Christmas is a time for family, friends, and forming connections with people and just being nostalgic and rambly. So I think we have hit the nail on the head with this episode.
I
So
mean, it's what we do best, isn't it? So
yes. And so thank you so much. I can't wait to have you back at some point in the future. And yes, thank you so much for joining me today.
thank you so much for having me and Merry Christmas to everyone listening.
And we are back. Thank you so much for listening to today's Christmas special. I really hope you enjoyed. I think the advice that Jodie gave and the perspectives that she had on everything were so valuable and so interesting. I can't thank you enough, Jodie, for making time to speak to me during this busy period. I can't thank all of you for listening enough during what is a very busy period. It's just been, yeah, the best year, the best time. I'm so grateful for all of you, and I hope you're all having, as I say, an incredible Christmas season. Whether you're celebrating Christmas or any other holidays, just hope you're having a season that is filled with light and love and joy and happiness. And I hope that this podcast brought some of that into your life as well. That's really all I have to say for today. I will let you go back to your friends, your family, your loved ones, and enjoy the festive season. So I will wrap up now. As much as I want to just talk about Christmas, what's everyone's favorite Christmas movie? No, can't do that. I love Elf, and I love Love Actually. I'm very basic, but uh, anyway, yes. Thank you all so much for listening. You can follow the podcast on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere you can go at Pangolin Podcast. Drop us a follow on there. You can also follow us on your podcast streaming service of choice. You can leave us a review on there. We would be very appreciative of that. I've never usually asked, but it's Christmas, so I thought I would give it a shot. Make sure to subscribe, of course, as I've said, because next week we have our New Year's special coming out with the wonderful Tasnia Kahandikar Propa, where we look back on 2021 and we look forward to 2022, and we just celebrate New Year's resolutions and everything that comes along with those as well. And yeah, have a very Merry Christmas, I suppose. Thank you once again. Thank you all so much for listening. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and yeah, see you next week for our New Year's special. Bye bye.